Hello, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since I made a tutorial video, but now I am back. Today I'll be going over naming covalent compounds, and basically it's already written here. It's naming compounds of nonmetals and nonmetals only, and we use prefixes to name these compounds. So as a reminder, covalent compounds, or the nonmetals, are all located in the right side past the staircase of the periodic table, and we use prefixes to depict the number of atoms of each nonmetal. So let me write this side, the prefixes, and a lot of it, and we usually just focus on prefixes 1 through 10, and a lot of it should be familiar based on like other words that you know. So I'm going to number off 1 through 10. Alright, so prefix for number 1 is mono. Number 2 is di. 3 is tri. And this one I mean by familiar. So like triangle, the shape triangle is tri. 4 is tetra. Like the game Tetris, if you think of the game Tetris, each shape is 4 squares. That comes from the term tetra. 5 is penta. Like pentagon, think of pentagon having 5 sides. Same thing with 6, hexa. 7 is hepta. So this is a very common misconception or mistake, is that a lot of people mix up between hexa and hepta. They sound and look the same. Just remember 6 as hexagon, hexa, so that's a good way to distinguish between the two. 8 is octa. 9 is nona. And 10 is deca. So think of decade. So decade being 10 years, deca. Alright, so we're going to use these prefixes to name some examples of covalent compounds. But I do want to start off with mono. There's a special thing about mono, is that it is only used, it's only used in the second nonmetal of the covalent compound. It is never used in the first nonmetal. All the other prefixes are used in both. Alright, so we're going to do one example here. We're going to do something very simple, H2O. We all know H2O is water, so that's like the English term, but there is a chemical term for H2O. So first off, we're going to write out the actual name of the nonmetal. So H, as we know, is hydrogen. And then O is oxygen. Now the second nonmetal is always ending with "ide." So I'm going to add that also with the rule up here. Always ends with "ide." So like oxygen is oxide, chlorine, chloride, fluorine, fluoride, etc. So the O would be oxygen, and we're going to turn that to oxide. And notice how I left these spaces here just so we can add these prefixes, because remember, prefixes, pre means before. So we're going to put the appropriate prefix before each nonmetal. So with hydrogen, since there's 2 hydrogens, the prefix for that is di. So di, hydrogen. And with the O, there's only 1 O, and the prefix for that is mono. And since there's like 2 O's, I get rid of the first vowel, so it's monoxide, not monoxide. So that's just a spelling thing. But this is basically how to name pretty much all covalent compounds. And here's another example, another thing that we know, CO2. So first we do the actual names of nonmetals. C is carbon, and then O is oxygen, so oxide. And then we look at our prefixes now. So with the C, carbon, there's only one, but it is the first nonmetal, so we don't put mono at all. We just leave it alone. And then for oxide, there's two, so we put the prefix di, so carbon dioxide. And we all know carbon dioxide growing up. So we don't say mono carbon dioxide because it's just a mouthful. That's why mono is only used for the second nonmetal. But if there's only one in the first nonmetal, we just leave it alone and just name it as is. Alright, let's do a more complicated one. I'm going to do a random one. P2O5. Alright, so P, as we know what that is, P is phosphorus. Again, I'm leaving a space for adding the prefix. Now, if you want to do the prefix first and then the name, that's totally fine, but as a first time practicing this, I recommend doing the name of the nonmetal and then putting the prefixes after. So we have phosphorus, and then O is oxide. And then now we use our prefixes. So there's P2, 2 is di, so diphosphorus. Notice how I am using a prefix here because it is not mono. Anything past mono, I can use the prefix on the first one. And then O5, 5 is prefix penta. So I'm going to get rid of that first vowel. So penta, I'm turning it to pentoxide. Again, it's a spelling thing. So diphosphorus pentoxide. That is the name for P2O5. Alright, so I'm going to do another one. Cl3F4. Very random. Looks weird, but it's just the use of the prefixes. So the element Cl is chlorine. And then F is fluorine. So again, we change the ending, so fluorine turns into fluoride. And then we use our prefixes. So we have Cl3. 3, the prefix is tri. So trichlorine. And then 4 is tetrafluoride. Probably should have left more space, but trichlorine tetrafluoride. Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 more examples to try by yourself, and then pause the video, and then unpause to check your work. And make sure you have the prefixes on the side here. Let's say I give you Br9Cl3 S2O3. So go ahead and try this out. Pause the video and then unpause to check your work. Alright, so you should have gotten these 2 names. Br9Cl3 is nona-bromine trichloride, and then S2O3 is disulfur trioxide. Alright, so make sure you have the correct prefixes, and then again have the correct ending for each of these. But yeah, that is pretty much it. There's nothing more to that. Making sure you have the right prefixes, and then remembering that mono is never ever used in the first nonmetal, like carbon dioxide. Just leave that alone. Alright, so I hope this helped. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.